Hey, what's going on, guys? Coach Trevor with lwstrength.com. Today we're going to be explaining ways to work through injuries using TRX straps. Now, first and foremost, for those of you guys who have never seen or used a TRX strap, these here are simply suspension straps that you could hang either from doors, from wall anchors, or in today's case, we're using a squat rack. And they could be adjusted to any different levels, and they've got handles for your hands and different loops for your feet. And they're overall just a great way that you could take away tension from either the legs or different areas of the upper body. And they can not only be used for other aspects of your workout, but in today's case, I'm gonna be showing you different ways you could use them to help modify many movements that you would see in regular day-to-day workouts, whether that's at the gym by yourself, or in our case, in many group fitness classes. So for today's structure, I'm gonna be showing you regular movements that you would see, and then I'm gonna show you how to modify and vary those same movements using the TRX. So if you don't have a TRX and you do home workouts and things like that, you could either buy these online, or a lot of times you could also get very similar straps at a cheaper price. For example, TRX can go anywhere from the kits from $60 to $100. So if you've never used a TRX before and you're kind of just trying to dabble in with them and see if it's something you might like, a lot of the other straps are very similar. For example, this is not a TRX brand strap, but here at the club, we have many of these, and they're just as beefy, even beefier than the regular TRX straps, and they've held the test of time, and they're just as great. And I think these here were like $40 a strap as compared to the like $80 to $100 kits that we get from TRX. So don't hesitate to get something that's a little cheaper if it gets you in the door and it lets you modify those movements and continue with your fitness journey there. All right, so that being said, let's hop into our first few moves. So the first few set of moves we're gonna be focusing on is the lower body to start. So for example, if you've come from any knee injuries, you have any hip injuries, even replacements in general, and you're looking to take some tension off of those areas, we're gonna be looking at some of our squats. For example, squat kicks, regular squats, squat jumps. Then we're gonna be heading into our lunges. So we've got forward lunges, back lunges, side to side lunges. And then last but not least, this one could be put in many different categories, but we're gonna be sticking mountain climbers in our lower body category. So when we're talking about our squats, our squat kicks, and our squat jumps, if you are dealing with an injury, a lot of times either you're having trouble getting to that low depth, or you're having trouble keeping that back straight and you're just not able to complete the rep in proper form. So when it comes to a TRX, we're able to do that a little bit easier. Even if you're not getting to a low range of motion, that's okay, because you're able to complete the rep at a little better form. So by doing this, upper body's gonna help us a little bit, wide stance, and we're sinking back into the move. And right now I have quite a bit of tension with my upper body because I'm not allowing that to be placed on my lower body. So just when I did that there, barely any tension on my quads, barely any tension on my knees, and well, technically a regular squat, there would be more tension there, we're still gonna be able to build that tension over time, and it's getting you more comfortable with that move. So depending on how you line up your TRX, because these could be adjusted, you don't wanna be too close, because then as I come down, I'm like right over the straps here, and I'm right over my body. You wanna be at a slight angle back, a slight lean back, and we're still developing proper form as we're sitting back into our squat. We're coming down, and we're driving right back up to the top. And then if I'm too close with my feet, then it kind of just becomes a sit right to the floor. So you still wanna get used to proper form with your squat, even though we're using the TRX to help us. Now, when it comes to our squat kicks, same exact thing. We're building off of the squat we were just doing, we're adding our kicks at the top. So we're still in the same exact spot, we're coming down for our squat. Again, even if it's just right to here, and then at the top, we throw our kick, we come down, we're down, back to the top, and we throw our kick. And because we have our TRX, it's helping with everything. It's helping with our stability, and it's helping with our squat. Now, when it comes to something a little more explosive like our squat jumps per se, which some of you guys, if you're having those injuries, you might never even be thinking about, take away the jump, add a calf raise at the top. So we're coming down for the squat. At the top, we've got our calf raise. We come down at the top, right into that calf raise. And you could build up some speed once you start feeling comfortable with those squats. Not to mention, if you're feeling really comfortable with those squats, you could add a little hop with the TRX, and it's gonna take away a lot of that impact if you're landing properly. You don't wanna land flat-footed. You don't wanna land heel-toe first, toe down to the heel. So we're coming down for the squat, we're up, toes down, and right back down. Now right there, I wasn't getting as low as I would with a regular squat, but I'm still bracing my impact with bent knees. And I'm using the TRX, using my upper body to assist in any way I could. So when we talk about our lunges, really the only lunge I would recommend, or I feel you can do with your TRX, would be your reverse lunge, and you could do your side lunge when we're talking about doing moves with the injuries. Of course, you'll see people doing lunges with their feet in the straps and things like that, but when it comes to safely doing lunges with the TRX, your reverse lunge is gonna be your best bet. Right off the bat, when we move to a forward lunge to a reverse lunge, the reverse lunge is already putting less tension on the knee and the quad because you're not taking that initial step forward, you're taking that step back. So now when you add the TRX to the move, it's double right there. So it's gonna make it a little bit easier on you. So same thing as when we were dealing with our squats, using our upper body to assist us a little bit, finding that right distance away from our anchor point, and we're taking a step back and we're right back to the top. Your arms are gonna be extending and coming back with this. Don't feel like you have to stay in one spot. So I'm coming down and then right back up to the top. One thing that happens sometimes is we stand a little too far away, and when I come down, my back starts to arch, starts to curl because I'm a little too far away from this position, and that is something you want to try to avoid. You still want to get that good form, like I was saying with our squats, even though we're using our TRX. So keep that chest high, keep that posture strong, rely on the upper body to take away tension from the quads and the knees. Now, second lunge we could do is our side lunges. This is gonna be a little bit tougher than your reverse lunge. Again, targeting some different muscle groups, it's just gonna require some more stability. So we've got our feet side by side, gonna require a little bit more stability from the upper body, and we come to one side, and now my toes are gonna be in line right with my knees there, and I come to the center, and you could either alternate, or if you're focused on one side, you could keep coming right out to that side. So right at my lowered point, I have a lot of tension with my upper body because I'm doing my best not to rely all on the quads, all putting tension on the floor there. So our last one here is gonna be the mountain climbers. So let's hop into it. So like I was mentioning in the beginning, this could be kind of placed in any category, but we put it with our lower body. This is our mountain climbers. So this one, really you'll probably just see in a group fitness class. You could probably get away from it if you were just working out alone. But nonetheless, great cardio move, and we could still do it if you're having injuries with the lower body and that standard mountain climber is a little too challenging. So with this one, you're gonna wanna extend your TRX a little bit, and any TRX you grab, any stability or suspension strap comes with the buckles, and you could just lower them down a little bit more, just like that. And for this one, I always recommend the straps to be under the armpits versus on top, because if you're having trouble keeping your body up, which is this is how we're gonna be doing our mountain climbers, if they're on top of the arms, you really have no way to properly give out without just letting the body fall down, versus if we're under the armpits like this, you're at a very, very strong position, elbows are tucked back, and you're kind of just relaxing here. This is your proper position right here. So at the end of the day, it is personal preference, but I believe under the armpits is the most safest way to do this one. And now, tougher is feet closer to your anchor. A little bit easier is feet higher up. And now you could either start with just knee raises coming up to the chest, or just like your traditional mountain climbers, if you want to make it a little bit tougher, add a little jog coming back and forth, just like that. And you're just trying to keep a solid pace. There's stability going because we're on our TRX. It's a free moving anchor going back and forth. And we've successfully removed a little bit of that tension, and we could choose to either go fast or to go slow. So that being said, we're going to be heading into our upper body work with our TRX. So when it comes to upper body and modifying those moves with your TRX, we're going to be talking about any type of rows, so your bent over rows. We're also going to be going over your chest flies, so on the back. And we're also going to be going over some different stretches you can use the TRX for shoulder injuries, and say you have trouble reaching overhead due to those injuries. We'll be going over some different stretches you can do for that. So let's hop into those rows. So when it comes to our rows and upper body work, our bent over rows, sometimes we'll have trouble keeping that core tight, our back starts to slouch, or other rows, say we just can't find the right weight where we're able to manage if we have a shoulder or a bicep injury. The TRX comes into play here. We have a great opportunity to adjust our difficulty level as we do with our squats when we shouldn't be moving our feet forward and back. The opposite is true with your rows. You do want to be able to move your feet forward and back, and that adjusts your difficulty level. So our anchor point is where our TRX connects to, and your feet, if they get closer to that anchor point, it's going to make it tougher for your row. When I lower my body down and I drive back up, that's a little bit tougher than if I moved my feet a little bit farther away from that anchor point and I lowered my body down and back up. That's a little bit easier because I'm a little bit more stood up straight. Now keep in mind with these rows, unlike your bent over rows, unlike other rows like that, you want to keep the chest high. Everything is straight. I'm not bent over. My hips aren't playing a big factor into this. I'm squeezing my glutes. My hips are straight. Everything is nice and taut, straight as a plank here. I'm coming down, right back up to the top, all right? Sometimes we might get a little overzealous. We might move a little too far forward, and some momentum comes into play here. You want to avoid that. You also want to avoid slouching your body down like this as we come in. I'm looking hollow right here. Avoid that there. Keep that chest high. Keep everything taut. Drive up with control and lower with control. So this move in particular is fantastic. Even if you don't have an injury, you'll see us use this move a lot of times in the club simply because it stimulates a lot of different muscles that you don't get from your regular dumbbell chest fly. Because we're focusing on a different part, a different contraction than we would on the floor. So with this, just like we were with our row, the closer the feet are to the bar, the tougher it is. The farther back they are, the easier it is. And I would caution you to back those feet up a little bit farther than you might think, because this move is a little bit more challenging, and just like the rows, you don't want to be using momentum with this one. So similar to your chest fly on the floor, we're going to be starting laid back slightly, just like we would with our rows, and we're extending our arms out to the side, and nice and slow, we're coming down slow and controlled. That's when you're going to feel a little bit different than you would with your regular chest flies. There's not that super slow contraction that you're going to feel when you're using just the dumbbells. So with this one, if you're having trouble keeping things nice and slow, back those feet up a little bit. And if you had to choose going slow on either coming up or coming down, I always tell people, if you have to pick one, you could come up a little bit faster, but save the slow tempo for coming back down, all right? So just like with our rows, if I'm too close and you find that you're kind of bending those arms to come up and you have to kind of catch yourself to come back down, that's a great sign that you're a little bit too close and you gotta back it up. So this first stretch we're gonna do is really great just if you have that TRX set up on your anchor. You're just gonna need one side, so the other side you could leave just hanging out there. You're gonna have 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, so whatever leg is coming out is gonna be the leg that doesn't have the TRX in the hand. So we're forward here, and you want that elbow generally pointing forward. So I don't want my elbow way out to the side here, generally pointing forward. Don't force that elbow forward, but in general, it's gonna be at a forward angle. And from here, you could kind of lean into this stretch and find that point where you're starting to feel tension all throughout. And of course, you could take a little step forward and slowly you should feel things start to release. Now, as with any of our static stretching, keep in mind, 30 seconds is the minimum where your body starts to relax and actually allow your body to feel the benefit of a stretch. I always recommend holding static stretches for at least a minute. And this one is no different. Grab a timer, grab your phone. You always have a timer on your phone. Set a minute, hold a minute on one side. Once you got a minute, come back up. You could switch sides. Now my other leg will come forward. I'm right here. You could keep one hand up for just some support and just hold that one side. Keep in mind, you should not be in pain here. Don't force your body forward to feel pain. Soreness and tension is okay. Pain when we're stretching, take it easy. It's not supposed to be something that's excruciating. So this last one here is called our hold-ups. Now you're gonna have a wall that you could freely move your hands around and step forward maybe half a foot away from the wall. You're not gonna be keeping the legs or the butt on the wall. All that needs to make contact with a wall is the shoulders, and biggest points is gonna be the elbows and the wrists. So you want the elbows and the wrists to be on the wall. Now for some of you guys, that alone might be an impossibility. You might be able to get the elbows there, but for some of you guys, those fingers might even have trouble touching. That's all right, do the best you can with this one. So your goal for this is to come as low as you can, and then nice and slow, extend those arms up as high as you can, all right? Now this is a slow move. It's not something where you're supposed to be going super fast. You're coming down slow and then reaching up as high as you can. Again, trying to keep those points in contact on the wall the whole time. I've seen it happen both ways, where sometimes people's elbows aren't able to touch, or sometimes people's fingers have a big trouble touching that wall. This is something you've got to work on a lot. It's not something where you could able to do just for a few minutes and then you see a big improvement. It's something you got to come back to several times, just like with any other stretch, to actually see some improvement with. But this is a great one here. Keep in mind, this is more dynamic than static, so it's not something where you hold one spot for a minute. You're gonna keep on moving up and down with that stretch. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something new. If you don't have a TRX yet, feel free to check them out. If you have some at your local center or your local gym, definitely be able to check out some of these movements. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. We'll see you guys next time.